الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My talk is about Islamic ethics in the fourth industrial revolution. I'm going to give some definition. What's for IIR? Ethics from Western point of view, ethics of fourth industrial revolution from Western point of view, ethics from Islamic point of view, globalization of ethics from Islamic view, ethics of science and engineering from Islamic point of view, professional Islamic ethics, and conclusion. First of all, first industrial revolution was the mechanization of water power, steam power in the 17th and 18th century. Second revolution, the 19th century, mass production, assembly line, electricity. Third industrial revolution started at the mid of the 20th century, and now we are about to see the fourth cyber physical systems. What's ethics? Ethics is the set of beliefs about right and wrong behavior. Each society forms a set of rules that establishes the boundaries of generally accepted behavior. These rules are often expressed in statements about how people should behave, and they fit together to form the moral code by which a society lives. Ethical behavior conforms to generally accepted social norms, many of which are almost universal. Of course, religion was the mother of ethics. Globalization of ethics, planning, design, construction, research, development, engineering management, environment, education, and all areas where ethics can affect decisions. Ethics is no more a local issue, it's a global issue. Global ethics, efforts to develop mutually agreed standards of conduct and efforts to advance and defend human values. For the first time in the history of Earth, ethics and values will be debated and transformed in a context that is not limited to a particular geographic region or constrained by specific religion or culture. This may very well be one of the most important social developments in history. Now, we start with ethics based on Western values. Of course, economical survival based on a Greco-Roman background, legal emphasis secular, economical survival, image creation and protection limited, personality and liability at the corporate level, intended to persuade audience to purchase products and services. Ethics in the Western values is changing with time, and it's based on transient values and standards. It took centuries to reach a code which is now the human rights. Occasional, there is conflict between organizational and personal goals. Difference of opinions between thinkers, those who advocate human ideals, and those capitalists advocating economical benefits. Knowledge is considered in the Western values as a commodity for sale. Now, there is an imbalance between technology and ethics. Once you have more progress in technology, maybe you get less moral ethics. Bill Gates put it like that. Morality of technology, he said, technology is amoral. It's up to us to decide how to use it and where to draw the line. Now the big question is, who are we or us? Some reasons of conflicts in corporations: there are direct conflict of interest between a technology corporation's responsibility to its shareholders and ethical responsibility to its customers, public or international community. The main aim of decision makers and agents is the success of the corporation as an investment of the shareholder resources. They have an ethical mandate to serve that end, and anything that stands in the way of that end is secondary considered. Now, should the technology be developed in the first place in the fourth industrial revolution? This question is now to be asked, for example, with regard to possible ban on autonomous lethal weapons or militarized robots. Till now, there are no records that lethal autonomous weapons picking its own target and destroying it without a human being involved in the decision making. There is no such thing till now. But however, many experts see that this will happen in the future. Another example is the geoengineering, which is the use of technology to alter planetary conditions, often to change the climate so as to reduce the earth warming. Now the other question is a technology, if the technology is going to proceed, to what end should it be deployed? During the fourth industrial revolution, there will be a wide variety of so-called human enhancement on offer. Some will focus on eliminating diseases, others may extend the human capabilities we wish to promote or reduce, such as great athletic ability, greater memory, or less aggressive behavior. Rather than making endorsement or prohibitions about enhancements in general, each type should be considered on a case-by-case basis. If the technology is to go forward, how should it proceed? It matters how technology is researched and how it enters the world. For example, National Academy of Science and Engineering and Medicine in USA recently issued a landmark report that take a precautionary approach to use of gene drives. Gene drives are technologies which can exponentially increase the prevalence of specific genetic elements in a wide population of certain kind of wild plants or animals. Right now, for example, gene drives are being considered as a way of controlling or even eradicating mosquitoes that are disease vectors for human illness. How far gene drives will go? Now, when we go to research driven by military, all the key technology fields that are now proving so exciting, have been military driven by military or military related investments. For example, machine learning, computer vision, robotics, Internet of Things, partial exception is natural language processing. Now, when we look at shift of jobs in the 4IR, doctors in the West are trending towards telemedicine. Lawyers are moving towards tele-lawyering. Telecommunication know-how and related information technology skills are now a need, and including in the provision of clinical legal education. Now, who is shaping the 4IR? The 4IR is largely being shaped by a small group of people in big companies, a few governments and universities. The rest of the population of the worldwide are observers. As Muslims, are we going to stay as observers? Now, the big argument is like that. First argument is from the West. They claim we spend more on research. We have the right to decide in which direction it should go. This means we are more clever than the rest of the world, hence we should decide. The opposite argument is the rest of the world, we are all in one boat. If we let you do it your way, we will sink all together. This is the Islamic point of view, as mentioned by one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he said that we have to take on hands of the wrongdoer, otherwise we will sink in the same boat. Now, if we look at allocation of money investment, there is an urgent need to redirect investment in the technologies of the 4IR more towards the most important human needs, including healthcare, mobility, education, rather than warfare and advertising. Now, making labor market work well, helping refugees integrate into new societies or reducing crime. Number two, shift in means and participation. We need to open up the 4IR to millions of innovators, makers, citizens, and use new tools to make it easier for them to shape this revolution. Humanizing 4IR is very important. We have to make sure that not many people become redundant. We need to multiply applications that do opposite to that. We need to make technology more engaging and more emotionally intelligent. We have to also take serious actions to complementary innovations. There is a need for research in smart planning, construction, in sustainable transport, and logistic mobility, clean energy, utilities to improve efficiency of urban systems and environment, urban health and resources, resilient urban systems to enable cities to prepare for and withstand environmental shocks and disasters. Now, let us think about robotic engineering. Can we teach robots ethics? Ethics shall be inherited in the programming of future robots. Now we ask, which ethics? Robots' roles in management, AI machine, artificial intelligence machine will be on a corporate base of directors. In the future, management will have membership of robots. If we talk about privacy and data protection, privacy and data protection are part of the solution, not part of the problem. For the time being, technology is controlled by human. Policymakers, technology developers, business developers, and all of us are seriously we must seriously consider if and how we want to influence the development of technology and its applications. But equally important, we have to consider urgently the ethics and place of human dignity in the technology of data in the future. Now, in the future there will be, in the 2025, 10% of the world will wear clothes connected to internet. Now we ask how to distinguish between human and things. We will see data capitalism, data collection for a specific purpose, data use for same or other purposes, results of artificial intelligence use of data, use of results for a new purpose, a trade of raw data, a trade of results of developed data, ownership of different data, different types of data. Now, the commerce of data will be a major part of the 4IR. Now, we have to consider security of data. Data should be equally protected. Entering systems and mobile networks to use resources, getting access to data without permission should not be accepted. Changing data of others or moving it or publicizing it should not be accepted. Breaking security measures of protected data. Hackers' acts, initiation of viruses, transmitting information from one system to another without permission, performing acts against the purpose of the owner. All these are dangers which are facing security. Now, we will look at the good phase of 4IR, natural progress of the human civilization, more power over natural resources, more leisure, less use of human power, longer average life of people. Early phase, more unemployment, harsh use of natural resources, wide gap between rich and poor, identity of strong over the identity of the rest, further ethical problems. Now the gap between the West and the rest, there are 4 billion people nowadays in the third world who tend to lack reliable internet access. For Africa, The second industrial revolution is yet to be fully experienced, as nearly 1.3 billion persons lack access to electricity. The problem rests not with failure of the third world to catch up the fourth IR, but it is how the IR raises the concerns around issues of power, asymmetry, security, and resulting threats of inequality, disempowerment, and exploitation. If we do not prepare in advance, we shall face several risks. We risk losing tremendous power to machines. We risk altering the courses of humanity without fully understanding the consequences. We risk creating massive inequality between techno-super rich and large underclass. Just as examples, we'll take self-driver car ethics. Of course, expert system ethics, data exchange ethics, data ownership ethics, genes data ethics. Now consider this picture. This driver, this is a car which is driven, without driver. There are these children and persons crossing the road, and there is a car coming from this way. Should we program this car to go like that or to go like that? Research directions. For instance, if you are asked to choose between financing scientific research or medication that could change the color of a human eye, or research that aims to develop medication to treat cancer, diabetes, and polio in developing countries, we would most definitely pick the second options. But who knows? Maybe they would choose otherwise. Similarly, if we are asked to decide between financing the manufacturing of expensive food products or financing solution for agriculture and animal husbandry, we would inevitably choose the latter. A global job market could increasingly get segregated into low skill, low pay, and high skill, high pay segments. Instead of democratization of global employment and market shares, we will experience a centralization of them. Companies like Amazon or Uber or Airbnb, the hotel business, are going to be very common in the future. Now, the matter of identity. Engineers, designers, architects are combining computational design, additive manufacturing, material engineering, synthetic biology to pioneer a symbiosis between microorganism, our bodies, the products we consume, and even the building we inhabit. We will increasingly wonder whether something is natural or artificial, or there will be no clear division and artificial will become the new natural. The fourth IR, finally, will change not only what we do, but also who we are. It will affect our identity and all issues associated with it. Our sense of privacy, our notions of ownership, our consumption pattern, the time we devote to work and leisure, and how we develop our career, cultivate our skills, meet people, and natural relationships. Manipulation and brainwashing. You are no longer the internet customer, but you are rather its product. The concept of singularity creates a kind of pseudo-religion. The cloud with the collected knowledge of the world has the function of substituted God. But in historical practice, most attempts to play God have ended in oppression, exploitation, and death. Now we go to Islamic context. In Islam, we have these terms: khuluq, salihat, sayyi'at, khayr, bir, qist, adl, haq, ma'ruf, amana, taqwa. Now, ethics circles, as you can see here, this is the Sharia, and this is the urf in various, or local customs in various environments, various localities. And this is the law. There may be some part of the law agreeing with Sharia and some outside. Now, the global ethics is like that. It may contain part of the Sharia, it may contain part of the local customs, it may contain part of the local law, but some of which is outside all of these. Now, as a Muslim, duties of Muslim is to act honestly, amana, in all circumstances, ikhlas, sincerity. He has to feel always God-fearing, and he has to make muhasaba, self-accounting. So really, if the Muslim behave with all these habits, he has to put all these ideals in front of him when dealing with international or global ethics. Now, ethics based on Islam, fundamentals of Islam are based on Quran. Practical examples are given by the life of and the action of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the way his companions, Khulafa al-Rashidin, which they understood his implementation, his teachings, and implement them actually. Muslims consider ideal life was real on earth at the time of these four Khalifa, and the belief in God and the Day of Judgment are basics of Iman. Personal accountability as the metaphysical. Purity of intent to serve just causes, moral courage required, compatibility between organizational consensus and personal consensus due to the clarity of core values. Ijtihad is able to create new solutions to modern problems based on Islamic principles. Accepting changes of habits, urf, as part of legal interpretation. Ideals of Western thinkers agree with Islamic ethics in many cases. Levels of Islamic ethics: global ethics, mercy, justice, keeping promise, looking after environment, professional ethics, safety of equipment, abiding by standards, contractual ethics, respecting dates defined, payments on time, personal ethics, taking halal food, paying zakah, and so on. Islamic ethics and globalization. Allah says in the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Indeed, we sent you as a grace to the worlds. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا كَافَّةً لِلنَّاسِ بَشِيرًا وَنَذِيرًا. Indeed, we sent you to all human beings as bringer of good tidings and warner unto all kinds. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent by Allah to protect the best of characters, to complete, to perfect. Yeah. Now, ethics and commandments of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in case of war: don't kill a woman, don't kill an infant, don't kill a patient, don't reach, don't demolish a temple, don't slaughter an animal except for eating, fulfill covenants, don't cut a tree, don't kill an old man, don't abuse corpus, treat captive well, and so on. So all these teachings are stated by Quran. Now I'm going to make a comparison. This is a recent research between Quran versus the Old Testament. In terms of trust, joy, the red graph is the Quran and the blue is the Torah. In terms, these 8 characters, this is a comparison between the Injil and Quran as well. Now this research ended up with reference of killing and destruction as percentage of verbatim text. In Quran is 2.1, in the Injil, the New Testament, 2.8%, and in the Old Testament, in the Torah, 5.3. Now, this is from Quran, the roots of words. Rahma, it appeared in Quran 339, guidance 326, truth 159, purification 59. While the negative characters, kill, qatl, 170, anger, 24, jihad, 41, although it's not fully negative, but if we consider it as the root jahda. Cruelty, 66. So you can see the difference that the Quran, in most of its words, inclined towards positive roots of ethics. Now we will go back to how the Islamic ethics are reflected on the 4 IR. Prophet ﷺ said, ما آمن بي من بات شبعان وجاره جائع إلى جنبه وهو يعلم به. The one who spent the night with a filled stomach will while he knows that his neighbor is hungry, he wouldn't be a believer. Zakat can be spent for scientific research and global development leading to the benefit of poor nations. Helping the needy is an obligation on all those who can help. It's farz kifaya. Now, Islam introduced the waqf, one of the most beneficial institutions in Islamic civilization. Muslims made waqf in every needed corner of life. Maybe you may know that in Syria there are some waqf for feeding cats or buying stick for blind people. There are so many waqf or types of waqf in the Islamic history. Amazing. Many advantages over NGOs. Muslims should enforce waqf in newly developed fields. Muslims are always just with others. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم على ألا تعديلوا اعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. All you who believe, stand out firmly for Allah as witnesses to fair dealing, and let not be hatred of others to you make you swerve to wrong and depart from justice. Mercy to people and animals. Mercy should be universal and global. Mercy to human beings and animals. Reward could be unbelievable. Now, I'll give you just an example, the fistat. You know that there is Amr ibn al-As, one of the leaders, one of the Sahaba who entered into Egypt. The army entered into a place and they camped in one place. Then they tried to move to another place. The fistat is a big tent of Amr ibn al-As. They found that at the top of the tent there was birds with a bird with small birds and eggs. So Amr ibn al-As decided not to move the fistat or the tent. He moved and went away to other places, but kept the fistat at that place. And that fistat is then becoming a city. It's called fistat. Looking at environmental circumstances, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. Allah commands justice and doing of good and liberality to kith and kin, and he forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonitions. Now, of course, corruption of earth, mischief, destroy crops are all among the al-fahsha wal-munkar wal-baghi. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. Mischiefs are appeared on land and sea because the need that the hands of men have earned, that Allah may give them a taste of some of their deeds in order that they may turn back from evil. Education. Spreading modern technology for poor and rich is part of global engineering. Education as basic need for a human being. Equality in education is a must. Job creation as a human need. Use of technology for job creation rather than machine replacing a human for sake of more profit, whatever, and the consequences. Energy. Energy is a gift of Allah, which should be properly used. Engineering, better use of energy, better utilization, better protection. Water. Water should be properly used. Quality of water should be protected. Water should be shared justly between neighbors. Carefully used of water even when it is plenty available. Sustainability of environment. One of the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, don't waste water even if you are on the course of a river. The verse in the Quran, وَلَا يُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ, those who praising the Muslims or believers who do not treat the environment badly. One of the teachings from Prophet ﷺ, if the Qiyamah is about to start and in the hand of one of you is a palm tree, he should plant it if he can before the Qiyamah. Now, brain drain. At the moment, many Muslim intellectuals are leaving to West or to other countries. Of course, free will of location of living versus a brain drain. Muslims should concentrate on the benefit of humanity and benefit of their nations, especially the poor nations. Poor nations are suffering from brain drain. Staying among needy to raise their standard of living and suffer with them is jihad. I mean, intellectual, if they stay with their own people to raise their standard is form of jihad. Technology transfer to poor nations is much required. Research and development for aiding the needy is very much needed. Now we shall define some rules which should govern the future ethics globally. لا يحل لامرئ مال أخيه إلا عن طيب نفس منه. Now this means that the properties are very much respected in Islam. Equality of a human being. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. O mankind, we created you from a single pair of male and female, and we made you into nations and tribes. Verily, the most honored of you in the sight of Allah is he who is the most righteous of you. Justice. ويل للمطففين الذين إذا اكتالوا على الناس يستوفون وإذا كالوهم أو وزنهم يخسرون ألا يظن أولئك أنهم مبعوثون ليوم عظيم يوم يقوم الناس برب العالمين. Those that deal in fraud, those who, when they have to receive by measure from men, exact full measure, but when they have to give by measure or weigh to others, give less than due. Now, Islamic rule is that we have to economize in every spending. Overconsumption is prohibited. We have to economize in resources, in consumption, and fair balance in everything. We have to give the amana to its people or to those who deserve it. Now, all these are defined by مقاصد الشريعة. مقاصد الشريعة الكلية, global or general aims, or مقاصد الشريعة الجزئية أو الخاصة, partial or special aims. Now, the four مقاصد the necessities, the needs, the laminas, now they are three levels. Now you can see here the three types of necessities, needs, luxuries. The Islamic law preserves the faith, soul, wealth, mind, offspring, and honor. Now, observing the religion means that we seek we think about Tawheed, thinking about Allah and the creator of and the purpose of life, prevention of unrestrained desire, seeking truth, moral righteousness, justice, building thriving civilization, practicing values, respecting environment, sustainability. Life, human dignity, building civilization, justice, freedom, equality, social welfare, human enhancement, sustainability, intellect. We have to thoughtful consumption of goods, development of techno, science, suppression of herd mentality, human enhancement, freedom of expression, wealth, building of civilization, social justice, human dignity, fairness, creativity, social welfare, taking care of families, raising of believing pious children, providing of family environment that further thinking and reflecting, practicing and applying the values of justice, love, mercy and compassion within the family to prevent oppression and tyrant. Now, مقاصد الشريعة are the wisdom behind fighting hardship, having rules in fiqh and usul rules. I'm going to give quickly some rules which are resulting from applying of مقاصد الشريعة. Now, مقاصد الشريعة may be specific or partial or general. How it's reflected on fourth industrial revolution: food for all human beings, housing, healthcare, childhood protection, orphans, hardship and needy, war, tragedies, disasters, job creation, duties of Muslims, a global practice of ethics, local practice of ethics, a breach of ethics, and examples to be in practice. So the Muslim should be a practical example of all the ethics of Islam in front of others. Now, as related to professional codes of ethics, in each profession there should be codes of ethics. Now I'm going to just give some examples of juristic principles which are to be put as codes for ethics in global issues. Now, for example, ما أدى إلى الحرام فهو حرام. What leads to unlawful is unlawful. Unlawful field, for example, gambling. Now, writing a program, for example, serving gambling would be haram because it leads to haram. Or manufacturing wine, or writing a code for automation of wine manufacturing would be haram. Code 2. إن الله يحب إذا عمل أحدكم عملا أن يتقنه. Allah likes if one performs a task, he has to perform it perfectly. Consequences. We have to have quality assurance. It's ibadah. To perfect our products is ibadah. High core of quality assurance. High standard of products. Management responsibility about quality. Personal responsibility about quality. Accountability for negligence. All these are results of perfections. While quality in Western values is important for selling more goods, the quality is defined by standards. If nothing mentioned in the standard about certain item, it will be legal to produce and sell that item even if it is bad quality. So that's the difference between Islamic and Western way. من غش فليس منا. The one who cheats is not from us. According to definition of cheating, it's an accurate definition of cheating. For example, the Prophet, when he saw a man who is selling wheat, and inside it was wet, so he said to him that you have to show all the deficiencies to the customer. Nothing hidden, different from what appears. For example, viruses, worms, cookies are all not allowed because they are hidden. Code 4. ما أقر بالعرف أقر بالشرع. If the professional people agreed upon certain rules or certain specifications, the Shara accept that this means that the progress of humanity is governed by such rules. Consequence, respect of profession, encourage standardization, judgment by specialists, religion scholars only show the general rules, limitations, and exceptions in various commercial activities, while the rest is left to the professional. Code 5. Respect of differences. Respect. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولو شاء ربك لجعل الناس أمة واحدة ولا يزالون مختلفين إلا من رحم ربك ولذلك خلقهم. Respect of differences among humankind and diversity in abilities, cultures, languages, traditions. They shall remain different, save those whom Allah pities. It was for this difference that He created them. Consequence, accepting differences between nations, communities, groups, respect of habits, traditions, local issues, no superiority of any race, language, culture above the others. Some Westerns at the moment enforcing Western values on other nations directly or indirectly, believing that only Western values are suitable for mankind at present age. Some are trying to correct the path by accepting the differences among nations after a lot of failures. Code 6. مصلحة الجماعة مقدمة على مصلحة الفرد. Interest of public should be given the priority over personal interest. Public interest comes first. Environmental issues should be highly respected because it's a matter related to public. Mass media should abide by general rules because it's related to public interest. The Prophet ﷺ said, إذا ابتليتم بمعاصي فاستتروا. That means if you are in a hardship of committing sins, then don't do that in public. This is to keep the public atmosphere as clean as possible. Knowledge of public nature should not be hidden from public. من كتم علما ألجمه الله يوم القيامة بلجام من النار. The one who hide knowledge in the hereafter will come with a bridle made of fire. Bribery is prohibited. ولا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل وتدلوا به الحكام لتأكلوا فريق من أموال الناس بالإثم وأنتم تعلمون. Respect of human being. ولقد كرمنا بني آدم. We have honored the children of Adam. As previously said, لا يحل لامرئ مال أخيه إلا عن طيب نفس منه. How do we allocate jobs? قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجره إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين. The best one whom you hire is the strong and honest. استعينوا لكل صنعة بصالح أهلها. Get help for any job from the one among the specialized people of the best piety. So number one is specialization, number two, honesty. Professional ethics, that means we respect competence and professionality, and later on the professionals will be responsible on their duties. Professional code of conducts. It contributes to society and human well-being, avoid harm to others, is honest and truthful, trustworthy, is fair and takes action not to discriminate. Code 12. لا ضرر ولا ضرار. Causing damage is not permitted. Spying is prohibited. ولا تجسسوا. وإن عاقبتم فعاقبوا مثل ما عوقبتم به. If you punish, you have to punish similar to the punishment you suffered from. العقد شريعة المتعاقدين. Respect all contractual agreement. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أوفوا بالعقود. Related to intellectual property and those related to employee rights. Ownership, proof and dispute. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أوفوا بالعقود. Islamic fundamentals towards products of the 4IR are very important in the future. ولا تجعل يدك مغلولة إلى عنقك ولا تبسطها كل البسط فتقعد ملوما محسورا. So we have to take mid-path. استعينوا على قضاء حوائجكم بالكتمان. This is another code. Get help upon performing your task by secrecy. ولا تسبوا الذين يدعون من دون الله فيسبوا الله عدوا بغير علم. كذلك زينا لكل أمة عملهم ثم إلى ربهم مرجعهم فينبئهم بما كانوا يعملون. So we have to respect belief of others. ما حدث رجل قوم بحديث لا تبلغ عقولهم إلا كان لبعضهم فتنة. We have to educate people or talk to people according to their understanding. الدين النصيحة لله ولرسوله وللمؤمنين. The religion is to give advice to Allah, His Messenger, and the Muslims. Contracts should be documented. The longest verse in Quran is the Ayat al-Dain, which defines how dain to be recorded. Truth should be above everything. وإذا قلتم فاعدلوا ولو كان ذا قربى وبعهد الله أوفوا ذلك وصاكم به لعلكم تذكرون. There are many other quotes. I'm not going to go into so much details. No gifts accepted, recording of events, be just in paying every party. Islamic fundamentals towards client, employer. For example, client or employer perform duties in faithful manner, keeping private information, not hiding knowledge, informing client or employer in case there is any danger to their properties, safeguarding the interest of client, do not respect any interest adverse to the employers without his specific consent. Islamic fundamental in management, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. Assigning work لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. وإذا حكمتم بين الناس أن تحكموا بالعدل. Islamic fundamental related to colleagues. واعبدوا الله ولا تشركوا به شيئا وبالوالدين إحسانا وبذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين والجار ذي القربى والجار الجنب والصاحب بالجنب وابن السبيل وما ملكت أيمانكم إن الله لا يحب من كان مختالا فخورا. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان. Islamic fundamentals towards own self. Encouraging seeking knowledge, improving ability in techniques, safety, measures, reliability, quality, improving the writing, listening, speaking ability, paying attention to documentation, improving knowledge. Now, unfortunately, present ethics in Muslim countries is not according fully to Islam. Technology is imported and it's accompanied by Western values with poor ethics. Adaptation of technology locally is sometimes in conflict with local values. High respect to Islamic principles in spite of the negligence in practice. Local habits sometimes are against Islamic principles. Trying slowly to bring into practice new rules based on Islamic principles. Attempts to globalize Islamic ethics is very slow. Now, this figure shows what is spent on research. 30% global-wise is spent by US, 10% by Japan, 22% by China, 9.9 by 22% by Europe, 9.8 by Japan, 15.3 by Japan, and 9.1 other developing countries, and 2.4 by OIC. Unfortunately, Muslims are spending much less on research than they should do. What next? Research in Islamic ethics is very much needed. How far we are from Islamic ideals, we have to find out. Islamic standards for different professions, we have to do research on that. Quality assurance based on Islamic maqasid, we have to do that. Expert system for guidance of Islamic ethics implementation is needed. More involvement in global ethics. Conclusions. Islam can offer a lot of ethics in 4 IR. Duties on religious scholars, scientists, engineers, technocrats to show Islamic ethics in practice on a global atmosphere. Close relations between engineers, scientists, technologists, and religious scholars for detailed implementation. Research in the field is very much needed. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, Professor Zeki.